It's so disappointing. Labour promised the country change. I've already made videos giving my opinion that Labour is basically a change of management, that there isn't any real substantial change. And Starmer confirmed this when he stood in the Downing Street garden and told us that change isn't going to happen overnight, that there are no quick fixes. He told us it's going to be tough, it's going to be painful, it's going to be difficult, that it's a really big ask after all we've been through. Short-term pain for long-term good, he said. How disappointing. Labour is supposed to be the party of change, but the change won't be coming for a while, or rather, the change is that it's going to get worse. There are similarities with the coalition government in 2010. George Osborne, in his emergency budget statement, said, "I'm not going to hide the hard choices we have to make. Everyone will be asked to contribute." Sounds a bit familiar? We've heard it all before. Starmer said, "Things are worse than we ever imagined. We discovered a black hole in the public finances." Back in 2010, Osborne said, "We've inherited the largest budget deficit of any economy in Europe." Starmer said, "We've got to be honest about the tough choices we face." Osborne said, "We're not going to hide the hard choices." Starmer said, "These are really big asks. Short-term pain for long-term good. We'll get through this together." Osborne said, "Everyone will be asked to contribute. Everyone will share in the rewards when we succeed. And guess what? We're all in this together. We mean it." Of course, 14 years later, we know that Osborne did not succeed. 14 years of austerity, massive decline in public services, dramatic increases in poverty and inequality, a flatlining economy. It's interesting to note that the Cameron and Osborne government was not right-wing. Starmer and Reeves could easily have been in that cabinet. Indeed, of course, it was a coalition government with several Liberal Democrats in the cabinet. The similarities between today and 2010 are really worrying. And the same failed neoliberal economic policies are going to have the same result. I must say that Starmer has had such an easy ride with the press so far. He's not being challenged at all on the "we didn't know it was so bad" claims. There's no doubt that there were massive elements of dishonesty and a lack of transparency from the previous government. But it was absolutely clear that either tax was going to have to increase or spending be reduced. Neither Labour nor the Conservatives addressed this. It was actually mentioned in the press. This article from the Times talked of the conspiracy of silence on tax and spending. And the IFS has clearly stated that the black hole was obvious to anyone who dared to look. This shock and horror at the financial position of the country is just about the blame game. Of course, the Tories are to blame, and it's not wrong to point that out. However, if you're going to continue very similar policies, the situation isn't going to change. Labour has announced some attractive sounding policies: 1.5 million new homes, public ownership of railways, a state energy company. These are all policies in the right direction. However, Labour has saddled itself with the over-restrictive Tory fiscal rules. It's given itself very little headroom to actually make significant progress in these areas. Starmer did say something that I do fully agree with. He talked about the deep rot and said that you can't tinker with it or rely on quick fixes. You have to overhaul the entire thing. Fixing the foundations, it said on the plaque in front of him in the Downing Street garden. The country is in crisis. Public services, national infrastructure, poverty, inequality, NHS waiting lists. This is deep rot. A radical plan is needed to fix the foundations. Labour's plan is merely tinkering. We need something much bolder. UK GDP is around £2.3 trillion a year, but there is around £15 trillion of wealth in the UK. The UK is a really rich country, and most of this wealth is just sitting doing nothing apart from earning more wealth. Labour's tinkering plan is to hope that through some new sounding programmes and a touch of we can run things more effectively than the Tories did, that somehow business will create more growth. However, fixing the foundations requires a massive state investment plan. Without this, Labour's tinkering is just papering over the cracks. There may well be enough improvement for enough people to get Labour re-elected, but Labour has missed the opportunity to do so much more. I hope you found this information useful. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. I'd be very grateful for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.